Greetings. Hope this finds you well. So I've been doing some learning and research and furthering my knowledge of the concept of the labor aristocracy, or the aristocracy of labor, which was originally first kind of developed by Marx and Engels, and then Lenin had some more analysis and things to add to it. But basically, it boils down to this. Within the capitalist society, a hierarchy of the working class develops, who tend to exhibit social chauvinism or kind of class collaboration, siding with the capitalists or their bosses because of the benefits they are occurring with A due to imperialism. So, for example, let's take the union bureaucracy in the United States as one example of this. Unions in the United States, at least some of them, benefit and invest in the global South and derive profits from the exploitation of the global South through imperialism. And then the bureaucrats in the union, the higher ups, are demonstrating social chauvinism because they aren't willing to forego those benefits, whether it be wages or pensions or certain standing and connections that they get due to their position as a union leader. So they're not going to advocate for international class solidarity or militant radical union policies or organizing or strikes or wildcat strikes, things like that. They're going to be more likely to acquiesce to the ruling class on these different issues and not wanting to rock the boat because of that social chauvinism. And again, it needs to be pointed out that this aristocracy of labor or labor aristocracy doesn't apply to all of the working class, and it's a strata of it or a part of the working class, but doesn't encompass the whole of the working class. So the union example that I was just talking about, that example might apply to the union leadership, but not necessarily, or probably not, to the everyday rank and file union member, right? Because they're not accruing the same benefits that union bureaucrat or leader is, per se. So kind of interesting, and not everybody necessarily tends to agree with the aristocracy of labor, but from my own personal experience here in the belly of the beast in the United States, I think it stands up to reasoning, and why you see, and also within the nonprofit sector as well. A lot of these huge, massive nonprofits support U.S. imperialism and the ruling class because they are funded through those same mechanisms. So it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense for these big nonprofits with policy or deed to come out against U.S. imperialism and try to champion international working class solidarity, because their funding sources would dry up like that. So just out of necessity and also positionality, they would be in favor of U.S. imperialism vis-a-vis social chauvinism. And then also, right, it's important to point out that this social chauvinism that exists in capitalist class society also benefits the ruling class greatly, right? Because you have this strata of the working class who is going to side and support the ruling elite, even though, you know, that is false class consciousness, when a working person, even you know, somebody who's fairly well off in the working class, sides with their oppressor, which happens anytime a working class folk sides with the capitalist class, with the ruling elite. So it definitely benefits the capitalist class to have this social chauvinism exist, because it reinforces class society when that class collaboration happens. As well as particularly, you know, when you have, you know, union leadership, let's say, engage in this social chauvinism, it's really helpful because it doesn't create, you know, militant unions or militant union organizing, and it doesn't reinforce class consciousness and international working class solidarity when this social chauvinism tends to exist at the, you know, higher echelons of union leadership. And that's why you have things like the AFL-CIO also being known as the AFL-CIA, because they are very much invested in the project of U.S. imperialism and empire, and have supported things in the past like the National Endowment for Democracy, which again is basically a CIA cutout. And I was reading this interesting article from the Left Voice. I'll link the article down below. I believe the author is Jason Koslowski, and at the end of it, this whole article was on social chauvinism and this rebuttal to somebody else who was trying to say that it wasn't a thing, that it's really important to, you know, develop political consciousness and international working class solidarity with the segment of the workers who, you know, aren't part of that labor aristocracy, who are kind of, their material interests are tied up with the, you know, current capitalist imperial order. But I would say I think it's also important because the labor aristocracy is still, those folks are still part of the working class, so I don't think they're necessarily completely, shouldn't be completely ignored. There should be, I think, some efforts made to educate on why, you know, even though they are having some material benefits through this capitalist system, they are still being exploited by the ruling class, and that's why it's super important to have working class solidarity and international working class solidarity in particular, because the struggles of the working class here in the United States are directly tied and intertwined to the working classes abroad, no matter what country or nation that happens to be in, right? It's like that saying when You know, I'm not free until everybody is free. So just some musings on social chauvinism, and the aristocracy of labor, or labor aristocracy. Let me know your thoughts down below. Peace.